First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Quadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto truth, and also to those elect that scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson to the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the type of day lesson is the plagues are not slack. So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope to sweep you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, have a quick news article here by CBS News. And it reads, C19 variant NB181 hits U.S. What's to know about symptoms? New booster V restriction. It says here, cases of the new C19 variant NB181 linked to a large surge in China has been detected in multiple locations across the United States, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The earliest cases in the U.S. date back to late March and early April and were detected through a screening program at airports for arriving international travelers. The CDC is aware of reported cases of C19 NB181 in China and is in regular contact with international partners, said a CDC spokesperson said in a statement last week. I think that's all we get at this right for right now, but we're seeing right now that we already know what happened back in 2020. You know, they could call another said this could be another pandemic. And also they can cause another lockdown, So right now we're constantly seeing increasing numbers of some type of outbreak or some type of disease like the bird flu, disease X, and also these multiple STD. They're constantly saying that they're constantly increasing across America as we speak. So that's why the men of the Lord, we're constantly warning you about all these things. We're warning you about pestilence, warning you about war. We're warning you about a time of trouble that we've never seen before. So we already know what happened back in 2020. A lot of people line it up and they trust in the strength of Egypt, took the, the hot sauce. You understand what I'm saying? So we right here, said a new C19 variant, and it also said it has new symptoms. So let's get a little of these symptoms right quick. We're just gonna do it just quick. So we're not gonna read all of this, but we see it right here that any given day, they can cause a lockdown because saying an outbreak because of this. We already know that this engineered and manufactured, but from who? Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. The Lord said he would send the famine. The Lord would send the sword. And also the Lord said he would send death and destruction. So let's read this here. It says, commonly reported symptoms said include respiratory issues such as cough and sore throat, as well as symptomatic effects like fever, fatigue, he said. So we already know about the mask mandate. Also, they had I think it was 6 feet apart, something of that effect. And a lot of people, was afraid. A lot of people trust in that, what they had to offer back then. So we know that these things are coming back into play. So we see like everything comes out of China first. Every time we look around, something is coming out of China, whether it is something about a digital infrastructure, about social credit score, or some type of disease or outbreak. But one thing about it, we already knowing that these things are going to constantly pick up, and many shall be taken in a great number. So now it's a new variant of this, so pretty much that this C19 hasn't gone anywhere. So now they say it's new. I guess it's new and improved, so we already know what Kill Gates said about if this one won't get your attention, the next one will. So we already know that we're here, Hey man, the devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath. So now let's get a quick precept. So we see it right now, the Lord's going to send these plagues, and these plagues are not going to slack down for a moment. Let's get this quick precept right here, 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 11. Not meant to be a long lesson tonight. It said, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and I will destroy all the land thereof. So that's exactly what the Lord is getting ready to do. We already know that modern day Egypt is America, Babylon the Great. And also we know that Egypt goes into the house of bondage. And the Lord said he will smite it again. So we know what happened back in Moses' time. The Lord, sent the plagues to Pharaoh to let my people go. So, right now, these plagues goes into what? Disease, sickness, death and destruction. So that's what the Lord's getting ready to do. He said, the Lord's getting ready to bring forth that judgment. So we see it every day. They keep telling you about some type of outbreak. Even though, they've been talking about the bird flu forever, left and right telling you about it's in the food, it's in this, it's in that. So, it's a lot of things that's constantly happening left and right, man, Let's get verse 12. It said, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that the Almighty shall bring upon it. So we ride upon judgment, so Lord is going to cause these things to happen left and right. So many shall be taken by the sword. Many shall be taken by the famine. Many shall be taken by what? The pestilence. So these things are right before our eyes. In the middle of the Lord, we constantly been warning you about this left and right. So let's get, let's go ahead and get this quick video right quick. So that's what the Lord is getting ready to do, bring forth these plagues. And they're not going to slack down for a moment. So let's start today's video. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. And I hope that you will get edified. Start this quick video.
There's a health alert tonight for a new fast-spreading variant of COVID-19.
Gertie Sperling joins us in the studio. Gertie, it's prompted fears about falling vaccination rates.
It has, Will. Just 2 days out from the change in season, COVID's one of several winter viruses spreading rapidly through the community as vaccination rates plunge. Weekly COVID infections have doubled in a month. Flu cases are on the rise too, with 470 reported infections compared to just 180 several weeks ago. Authorities are also monitoring RSV, but it's the new fast-spreading variant of COVID-19 that's causing concern. It currently accounts for almost 10% of cases here, but it's quickly becoming the dominant strain interstate.
This new subvariant does look to be more infectious. It binds to the receptor the virus uses to get in more readily and is really effective at evading protection, particularly from past infections.
It's prompted a renewed push for booster jabs nationwide, and locally it's the under 5 age group that's still yet to take advantage of free flu jabs. The advice is to protect yourself now before it's too late.
So now let's start today's lesson. And we'll start here first. Just a quick let's do the spirit. So we see it right now that, these things are constantly picking up each and every day. Every time when you turn the TV on, outbreak over here, be careful over there. A lot of things are happening. Who've been warning you about these things? What? The prophets, So let's read this right here. Jeremiah chapter 28. Verse 8 said, the prophet that had been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries, against great kingdoms of war and of evils and of pestilence. So that's exactly what we constantly been telling you. So you know that the spirit of the prophet is subject to the prophets. If you prophesied in ancient time, you're prophesying right now. Everyone is standing in their lot. In the middle of the Lord, we're constantly warning you, when, all these things that's coming upon the earth, of war, we're telling you about nation rising against nation. We're telling you about evil, or ill time. We're telling you about Jacob's trouble, our temptation. These things that comes that pestilence goes into disease. Let's read it in the NLT. It says here, Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8, it said, the ancient prophets who preceded you and me spoke against many nations, always warning of war, disaster, and disease. So that's what we constantly telling you about. Now he's telling you about this new C19 variant, telling you about the new symptoms. And also the men of the Lord, we've been telling you to warning you about it left and right, warning before destruction. So a lot of people, back in 2020 was taken, by this, by this so-called C-19. Put it like that. We don't want to go too deep into it, but we're seeing that we're here. It could be another mass mandate, all sorts of things that they'll get ready to bring back into play. Let's read this right here. Is in verse 9, said, the prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that the Lord had truly sent him. So that's what we constantly been warning you about. He said that when these things come to pass, these prophecies, the signs of the time, then they shall know that a prophet had been among them. Then they shall know that the Lord truly sent them. You know what I'm saying? Which in fact are the men of the Lord, the one that's constantly warning you of all these things that happen. Lockdown, he can call that at any given time. We already know they putting all these executive orders into play, telling you about these increased outbreaks over here, outbreaks over there. You know what I'm saying? Telling you, get prepared for this, get prepared for that. And one thing about it, we already know what all this is leading to. And one thing about it, the only way you will be prepared is through who? Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, and hoping that we're part of the whole elect. And one thing about it, that we know that we're coming upon, a lot of war, disasters, disease, all sorts of destruction, all sorts of tribulation, persecution is coming upon us, and many shall be taken in a great number. When you go into that word taken, it goes into being unalive. So let's get that right quick, and we'll close out. Not meant to be a long lesson, and also this fair use is just only for educational purpose. That's it. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it that, we seeing that these things are rolling out right before our eyes. So let's go here to 2 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1. We don't want to speak on it too long, but, we already knowing that this already has occurred, but we knowing that at this time, this devil here is going to get, it's going to, it's going to be worse, than was before. We put it like that. 2 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1 said, nevertheless, as the coming tokens are the signs of the time of the prophecies, he said, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. So that's what we constantly seeing left and right, that we coming upon this time, like we already knowing what happened, back in from 2020 up to now. A lot of people was taken in a great number. And also, we knowing that, they always talking about depopulation. So that's one of the ways, but we're going to put it like that. So we see it right there that we're very close to that, seeing that they're constantly telling you that it's going to be another this, it's going to be another that. We put it like that. So let's read this once again. 2 Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1 said, nevertheless, as the coming tokens, the signs, the prophecies, it said, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken, are unalive in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Verse 2 said, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So we already seeing that iniquity is increasing, love of many, is waxing colder and cold. And also the land should be barren of faith. We know that famine of the word is fast approaching also, so we're very close, and also the prophets constantly been warning you about pestilence, been warning you about famine, food shortage, the tribulation, anguish. A lot of these things we constantly warning you about left and right, and they're fastly approaching. We knowing that this red devil is getting ready to make his move, but when he make his move, the Lord is going to make his move, so when we see these things coming, we know that our salvation is very close at hand. So a lot of people, I noticed, you were talking about symptoms they're having. Also, we know about this pollution, air quality, different things that's going on all around us. One thing about it, we have to redeem the time wisely. We have to be circumspect, knowing our surrounding, knowing what time that we're living in, and also the people that we're dealing with. So we're in that time, an ill time, some perilous time, right before our eyes. So we're seeing that these plagues are not slacking down, these outbreaks, these disease, sickness, that's coming upon us very quickly. And also we know that the Lord is getting ready to bring forth judgment. You know what I'm saying? And once again, first my judgment will start at the house of Israel. You wicked Negroes, you wicked Latino, you wicked Native Indians. I'm talking to you. It's time to return to your true power while you still have time. So we're seeing right now that they constantly warning you about this new, C19. And already knowing that it's going to play hand in hand with that hokey poke and also that grain of rice. So these things are coming upon us at a fast pace. So we got to constantly watch. We got to constantly pray without ceasing. You know what I'm saying? And once today, and the number one thing, constantly endure. We will get there. And one thing about it, we see that these problems, they're constantly rolling out just like clockwork. We are very excited. So the title of the day lesson, once again, is the plagues are not slack. So I give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rikak Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.